So hi guys, welcome to Ustream. If you want to ask me a question, then you have to call through Skype, which is Lisa Cairns 12. So you can send me a friend's request now. That's Lisa Cairns 12, lowercase letters. I don't like to answer the written questions. I prefer it you'd send me a message that says call me or you called me and we spoke. I occasionally read out the written ones, but I mostly will only speak with people. If you want to come on a retreat of mine, I'm doing a retreat in about 2 weeks now in Belgium, maybe 2.5. It starts on the 26th of August for 4 days. It's very easy to get to. It's near Eindhoven Airport or Amsterdam Airport or Brussels Airport, and you can get a train near to Stan's house from there. And it's also quite low in price as well. It's at my friend's house, so we can do it for lower prices. There's a few places left. I don't think there's loads of places left. You can look onto my website for that. And then in September I'll be doing a talk in Ireland, in Dublin, and I'll be doing talks in Italy, in Milan. And then in October I'll be doing talks in Ibiza, so you can come and join. I think that'll be 5 days of talks in Ibiza. Hey, my beauty. There is never going to be an outside of this. You are never going to be able to step outside of this. You imagine you do. You imagine that you step outside of this when you go into a different room or when it's a different scenery. But actually, that's just the energy changing formation, giving the appearance that you're somewhere else. You're not actually going anywhere. Nobody can ever go anywhere. There is only ever what is. And you can run out of this room. You can go to India, you can walk around as many hills as you like, you can eat as much vegetarian food, you can wear the white clothes, you can go to rebirthing, you can become aware of your deep unconscious patterns, and you still won't ever get out of this. You can make your boobs bigger, smaller, you can buy 100 dogs, and you'll never get away from this. And this has been forgotten with the illusion of the human, or with the illusion of the separate self. The human feels that it's always moving through time, and it's somebody separate moving through a separate world, and that it's going to arrive somewhere eventually. It even does it with spirituality and non-duality. It always thinks it's going to arrive somewhere. I will one day get there in the future. Constantly looking towards the future. And the past and future don't exist. They only ever existed here. They've only ever been this. So the human lives in this constant dynamic of past and future, and I'm going to arrive in the future. And it looks for its own happiness and freedom in that timeline. I will be happy if I get enlightened, if I hear what Lisa says, if I eat more vegetables, if I lose 10 pounds, if I stop drinking tea, if I get a good night's sleep, if my family stop being assholes, if my partner does the dishes, if I get an iPhone. And now there's so many ifs for the human, there's so many what I could have, that it gets lost in this world of future, where I'm going to get to, where I'm going to get to. And the whole day is spent thinking about you and the future. And the you only exists from the past. It's crazy. And that illusory you is going to the future. So what you think you are has come from the past. And then you think you're going towards the future. And all these things you're going to get into the future. So you've made up this illusory you, of all these things made up of the past, your habits, your behaviours, what you've done, what you like, what you don't like, people you've argued with, feelings you've had, sensations, money, house. So all these things from the future have consisted of a you. This energy is sucked in and said, that's me. I am my wealth. I am my big house. I am a mother. I am a teacher. I am successful. And then that illusory you that comes from the past then is going to illusory move in the imagination to an illusory imagined future and get this big present in the future, this big pot of gold in the future. Then it thinks that it will be able to get there, so it will get enlightened, or it will get this thing. So this combination of you, this me that's sucked in all these things, will go into the future and it will manage to hold on to something and secure it forever on in, and then there will be perfect, brilliant happiness forever and ever and ever. And originally it might think that's money, but then it might begin to get into spirituality and it might think that it's enlightenment. So it thinks it gets enlightened and it will hold on to that, and I will be perpetually happy and free for the rest of my life. And what true enlightenment is, not an experience. Experiences happen, and there could be many awakening experiences, but enlightenment is the collapse of that person that feels like it's having an experience and it's moving through time. The body still carries on as the body is, but there's no longer this dynamic that's claiming things to be a separate entity inside of here. That collapses and all that's left is life. Some people call it an energetic expansion, or an expansion back into what is, but in a way that's another big carrot, but we could call it that, an expansion back into what is, from being this contracted separate self to what is, to everything. And it's no longer a person in time having an experience. The person in time is an experience arising in perfect brilliant stillness, as perfect brilliant stillness. And then this is emptiness as fullness, or fullness which is empty. And there's no one really that's born and dies. There seems to be all these things happening, and there seems to be a life of a human being lived, but really that was never you. It's energy always changing formation, giving the appearance that something's happening. So there's nothing at risk, there's nothing that can be lost. Ultimately, in the human world, you lose your house, you get your house. You lose money, you win money, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, there's nothing that can be lost. And the human's forgotten that. The human's got so fixated on me and what I can potentially get in the future that it's completely forgotten the nature of everything, and that it suffers. And it's not actually the human that remembers it, because the human's something in time. So I'm not actually speaking to a human in time. There is speaking happening and a resonance of no thing, remembering, or the clouds stopping, blocking the view. And there can be a clearing of that the clouds blocking the view, and then it can be seen as it is. But it's not really somebody that sees it, although it might sound like that in my language, which has to be dualistic, because it's languages in opposites. And it doesn't change necessarily the human's life or the human's way of being, but it is freedom, a remembering that nothing was ever lost, nothing was ever at risk. Everything is always free, and you're never outside of God. Everything is God. There's nothing that will be abandoned and lost in the future. There is no future, there is only this. And in this, everything is intimacy, everything is itself. Okay, that was the introduction. So if anyone has any questions. Okay, Jerome. Hey, Jerome.
Hello.
Hi, I was just giving a bit of an introduction before, so I couldn't answer your call.
Okay, that was the introduction. So if anyone has any questions.
So you need to just turn the volume off of Ustream. Hello?
Hello.
Hiya.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Do you hear me?
I have no question for the moment.
Yeah. You can hear me okay?
Perhaps later.
Hello? You can hear me?
Yes.
Yep, very good. Okay. Okay, you can ask your question.
I have no question for the moment.
Yeah. You can hear me okay? You need to turn off your volume for Ustream, Jerome.
Is it okay?
Yeah, that's okay, but you need to turn off your volume for Ustream.
Yes.
Yes.
That's done.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm sorry, but I forgot my question.
Oh.
So perhaps later I...
Oh, okay. All right then, Jerome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. So when you call in, I'll speak to you through Skype, and then you have to speak to me back through Skype. You have to turn the volume off of Ustream because it's out of sync. Hi, Alan. Nope. Okay. No, Alan. Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. I'm not near my internet box, so I can't put my video on.
Okay.
It's too much internet.
Yeah, it's okay. I have a question. Last time when I spoke to you, you told me about the origin of my suffering and the identification I have with myself and my story. And, I have been practicing meditation for 4 years now, and I still struggle with this. I'm still thinking I am this person and I have this story. So I don't know what to do, just to wake myself up and just realize that I am not this person.
Yeah. It's not something that you can do through your own efforts, because the you is something moving in time. So it's kind of like an endless question that goes round and round, like a Zen koan. What can I do? The only reason that what can I do is good in the human language is for practical reasons. Like, we began to think and be able to communicate and to develop language in order to be able to make our environments more comfortable. And so we began to be able to say, how can I make this environment better? What can I do? But then we apply that to ourselves, and we think that we are somebody inside this body having an experience, and then we think, what can I do to wake myself up? But what can I do only works in practical terms. It was only ever meant for practicality. It was the assumption that the language actually indicated that there was somebody in you, inside the body, that created the problem in the first place. So it's like you can't undo it by your own volition. That's terrible news for you, because you've been told your whole life that you are in control of your life, that you've got to take charge of your life, and you've got to make your happiness and do things. So you imagine yourself to be something solid, namely the body, your actions, your behaviors, your habits. You imagine that you're moving through time and that you're going to get to a destination in the future. And every time you have an experience at the moment, you will register it as good or bad, and whether you want it or you don't, and then you'll imagine this better ideal place in the future. And that is the dilemma of the person, because it's that very functioning which is the suffering. So I don't really talk about what to do or what you could do, because that very dynamic is what's creating the problem. And to say, what could I do to undo it, it's kind of, if I gave you hope that you could do something, it's like I'm saying you do exist, and I'm ticking and validating your illusion, and there is somebody inside the body that could get somewhere. Yeah. But that's not a very nice thing to hear, because the separate self is used to hope, and it likes messages of hope, and it likes to fight against the villain. So it likes this idea that I've got this ego inside me, or this separate self inside me, and I've got to fight against it and overcome it. So it likes these stories, but these are stories. They don't actually imply a you or a world.
Yeah.
But then,
well, this makes sense, yeah.
But then the person's still left there going, what to do? And that is happening in freedom. That is also freedom. It's happening in this, as this. But the person thinks that implies there's a future that could be better. But there's no future that could be better. There's change happening as stillness.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. And thank you so much, Lisa, for your answer.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Hi, Radzov Lark. Let's see if Anna wants to talk now. So that's it. I've done all the questions. Oh, Leslie. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, Lisa.
Nice to speak to you.
I'm so glad I got to talk to you today. I got lots to catch you up on. Okay. So the last time we talked was in April.
Yeah.
Telling you a little bit about my situation in my marriage and this guy that I liked.
And you'd
Do you
left
remember
your
that conversation?
I vaguely remember it, but you'd left your husband, or you were thinking of leaving your husband, and you've got quite a few kids, 4 kids or
5 kids, yeah.
5 kids.
So what ended up happening is in June, I told my husband that I wanted a divorce, and not too much has happened with that, actually. I've just spent about $3,000 with a lawyer, and no agreement was ever made. He's not left the house. We're still living in the same home, but we're separated in the home. But with this other guy, I have, that relationship has grown quite a bit. In fact, I went to see him a couple weeks ago. I took a week and planned a trip up to see him. He's in a different country.
Mm-hmm.
And just told my husband that I was going away for a week. I set him all up to take care of all the kids. But when I came back, a few days later, he found out about it. So there's been a lot of drama with that. But what I've noticed is I just really don't care. Like, I feel like I have no guilt over it. I feel like I'm doing exactly what my body wants to do.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I really need to pay any more money to a lawyer to pursue a divorce. And I'll just keep living the life that I'm going to live. And it's just been so interesting to see, you know, all the changes, how I've been feeling about everything. And it just seems like it's just evolving on its own.
Yeah.
But other people, just their reactions, and, you know, there's therapists involved now, and you just feel so judged, and
Yeah.
knowing that it's really not me doing anything, it's just kind of progressing on its own.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of see what your thoughts were on all of that.
I don't know if I have too many thoughts. Like, that's life. It's so juicy, and people are always going to judge. Like, that's the way of humans, because humans can't not make up a story about a situation. So if like your mother or your friend was going to describe Leslie's situation, she has to say something. She has to think about something in her head and say something about it if someone asked her. And she also has to name a situation. So there's always going to be a feeling of judge, because no stories are ever really true. There's ones that are more accurate, but none of them are ever really true. And it's just the nature of being human, is that everybody's going to have a story about something. So say if my dog walker was looking after my dog, and he let my dog attack another dog or something, and I repeated that to my mother, and then the dog walker found out, he might feel really judged just in me telling the basics of that story. To him, he might see it that he didn't let another dog attack. He might have seen it in a whole different light. And to me, that was the way I would repeat it to my mother. But to him, it might be, oh, I was out walking, this other dog pounced on us, and I had food, and Khaleesi saw it, and there was a fight. So it's just the way of humans, and it's not personal. It's just humans trying to be able to label the situation and trying to be able to label events. But we never really can, and we infinitely fail.
Right, yeah.
And then when there's identification and belief that it's real, then it becomes more serious and more important, and then people fight over it to try and get the right.
Yeah, so I had totally become the ass. You said that I would either be the angel or the ass, or it may go back and forth. And I mean, it's just like everywhere I turn, I'm the ass, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I've just really enjoyed it. Like, I'm just having the time of my life, and I know that I'm leaving quite a trail of drama behind me, but I have no idea where I'm headed. And there's good days and bad days. Like today hasn't been that great of a day. Yesterday I was full of bliss with everything. And so it's just, anyway.
It plods on the way it plods on.
Yeah.
And it endlessly unfolds. Like, endlessly there's a new thing. And then you're a different character. A different character is in, like, Leslie's then seen as an angel, and then a savior. And it infinitely goes on, and the only truth is what's happening. That's the only thing which is always constant. Everything else is fleeting.
Right. Yeah. So, so I just really don't know. I mean, it feels like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and
it can't be any other way. You can't step out of that. Some people are fighting it internally and believing they can, and that they could be something else, and they could be going somewhere else, and they feel uncomfortable. But it can only ever be what's happening.
Right. And when I look back to see even the trip that I took, how much effort and planning it took to make that trip, I'm blown away that I even did it. Like, was that really me? I mean, to go over, into another country and get through customs and meet somebody for the first time is a big deal. And, it just went beautifully, and I had the time of my life. And, at this point, I'm like, okay, now what happens, or when are we going to meet again? Is it going to keep evolving? And just, even since my mother died, back in October, I'm learning so much about relationships and how, there's always an end to a relationship. It begins at some point, it ends at some point. It might have a long, you might be in a relationship with somebody for a long time, or it might be a short relationship. And so it's just the way things go.
And the way that the relationship is viewed will constantly be changing and updated, and it's not a solid thing. It's always in movement. So
yes.
Then what you thought about your husband 10 years ago is completely different now. Like, it's a completely different perspective and feeling and sensation.
Right. And there's no judgment in that, but he's having a horrible time with it,
Yeah.
So, anyway, I wanted to update you because quite a bit has happened, and
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely to speak with you again, Leslie.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
So I prefer if people called, but nobody's calling at the moment, so I'll just say question Jerome wrote. So please call me. I prefer to speak to you live. Lisa, do you think that most non-dual teachers nowadays speak really about non-duality? What is your view about this? Some seem to mix different influences like the law of attraction, the Course in Miracles, or therapy. Most people don't speak about pure non-duality because it's impossible to travel and make money from that. Most non-duality speakers will mix in other things. If you just directly speak about non-duality, then it's very unjuicy and there's not much story involved in it. So there's not very many people that are interested. People want a bit more drama and a bit more something happening. They want to be told stories of good and bad, of fighting the ego, of the dark night of the soul, of overcoming your ideas, of letting go of ideas. They want practical things that they can do. And I'm not saying there's anything bad or wrong with that, and I'm not saying that other speakers are bad or wrong for doing it. But if they didn't do it, I don't know if non-duality would ever be spoken about. I'm not pro them, but literally you wouldn't be able to make a living out of it. It is amazing that I managed to have this many people coming to talks, and when I do talks, not many people come, maybe somewhere between 15 and 30 when we come to my live talks. Paul says it's because I'm a pretty blonde, and so therefore it makes it seem a little bit more attractive. But I think it's personally because I'm so funny. It's my personality, but but it's not going to be popular. People want good and bad. They want an ego that they can get over. They want the devil. They want to fight the devil. They want the dark night of the soul. They want to understand what's happening. They want a path. They want someone to follow. So I don't know if other non-duality teachers always know consciously that they're doing that, or know that they're doing that. They might have been taught that, so they might believe that you have to go through some therapy in order to hear non-duality. I don't know if they'd know the difference necessarily. I think a few most probably do. Okay, we have some more people calling. Oh, this is very confusing. People's messages keep disappearing. Hi! Hello. Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey. I'm not even going to begin to pronounce your name. It's too hard. Yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
But hello.
Hi. So the question is similar to, I think, the first lady that called.
Yeah.
I guess it's one of those what to do. So
Yeah.
I think I wrote this. Okay. So I wake up in the morning and the question is often, am I there yet? Am I awakened
Yeah.
already or not? I can see that thoughts moving, even happening, starting and then ending, but it's still that seeking energy is still there, right?
Yeah.
So like coming to these talks and I'll listen to you, listen to some other videos.
Yeah.
Or watch them, right? And I'm not willing to give up that hope that it will happen sometimes, right?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be willing to because the way that the separate self functions, when that is given up, there won't be a separate self, because the way that the separate self functions is that it lives off the dream of being something in the past, being a person that's done all these things and got to all these places, and that person from the past is going to get somewhere in the future. So when those dreams collapse and there's no longer going to be a separate self.
Right, and I think I understand that intellectually, but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's where it ends.
It's a frustrating subject, isn't it?
It's just nasty.
But it also is really beautiful on the other side. I love speaking about it, but it's frustrating when that person wants to get somewhere, and it really, I mean, at least if it was seeking for money, then it would have something to do. It would be like, okay, I've got to get a job, or I've got to put my resume on the internet, or I've got to go and hand out flyers or go for interviews, whatever it is. But non-duality is not like that. Non-duality is not talking about you doing something. And so often people, when they get into non-duality, they give up everything else, and then they've got non-duality, a subject which isn't about seeking and isn't about getting to, someone getting to. They've given up everything else, and then they've still got this drama inside them of what can I do, what can I do? And for years and years in the past, it had been focused around family, money, work situations, or education, getting an education, and then suddenly that's gone. Suddenly all that's been dropped, so you've got into non-duality, and then it's just, the focus is just on you seeking to get enlightenment. And in a way, I think that's like a harder place to be at. Like, it's a really, because your mind's fixated getting enlightened, and it doesn't exist. At least money doesn't ultimately exist, but at least there can be some working towards it. Like, it's something that can be physically grabbed hold of.
Yeah, and all the other stuff is going on at the same time as well, right? So it's not that the other stuff is gone. It's just on top of that, there's this
where am I? Yeah.
Time spent seeking, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's just.
But the thing is that everything that you look at as a separate self, as of yourself, so you think, I'm not there, I am there, or when am I going to get there? There isn't anything inside the body that exists. There isn't a separate self that ever exists. So everything that you think about yourself, even the assumption of am I there yet, is an illusion. You can never look at yourself. So even when the illusion collapses, there won't be anything there that will know that. It won't be for anyone. It will just be freedom. But there wouldn't be somebody there that will be able to claim that to be you anymore or yours. You won't be able to look in time and think, I've been free for 10 years.
Yeah, and I'm willing to accept that it's all happening in my thoughts only, right?
Yeah. But it's not just your thoughts, it's like an energetic sense as well.
Right. And so all the emotions and how they make it feel bad in the body, for example, right? Yeah. So I see that sort of, and still, okay, what to do with it? Like, what's next? How to?
It will work its way out. It will work its way out once this begins to be revealed, which this is being revealed, but it's not to you and it's not from me, but it's being revealed. It will stop happening, but it's not like the timeline thing that you imagine as a separate self, because there's never really a timeline thing. The you in the past and future will begin to dissolve, and then there will be what was always here, which is what is, but it will then be seen as something that's still and moving simultaneously. This isn't a result of something, this isn't going somewhere, it's all happening in this, as this.
Yeah. I hear that. You know, if you remember, there was always but.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. That's why other subjects will be more popular than this. Like somebody was just asking me, I think, about, that's why non-duality, that gives a bit of a path to follow, will be more popular, because that energy is so desperate to follow something.
At least, you know, coming to your talk, right? Even that's happening. You know, I'm drawn to it. I like to hear the introduction and other people's questions, but still, you know, it seems like there should be something to do.
No, that's all the mind just trying to grab onto something. It will happen all on its own.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Have a good day.
Hi, Charlotte. Hey, Bradley. Howdy, Mama. Hey, Alanga. Please call. Hey, Jerome. Thank you. Oh, Jackie's trying to call.
Lisa?
Hey, Jackie!
Hey, how you doing? I was just Skyping you because I got to prepare. For some reason, I can't. Can you see me?
No, I can't see you, but I haven't got good enough internet for you to see me either.
Oh, okay, I think. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, obviously. Duh. First of all, hey, girl, you must have one section in your room for earrings, or a whole room.
Yeah.
You have the cutest earrings.
I like earrings, and I like rings as well.
Oh, okay, I got you. Listen, because I can't Skype and Ustream at the same time and going back and forth, I think you answered some of the questions.
Yeah.
And by the way, your introduction, as usual, was beautiful.
Oh, nice.
But because I didn't hear the whole thing, I wanted to ask a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Is there such a state of unconditional love?
Yes, but it's not anybody's state, and it's not a feeling. You can also have these bliss love experiences where it feels like the area around the heart opens up and everything dissolves into love. And you can, there can be many experiences with sensation of love. And then there is unconditional love, which is everything, but it doesn't manifest through a human's behavior. The human is set up to be a human, so the human is, you won't find it in human behavior. Like, you can't have a human that expresses in their behaviors unconditional love, because the human's set up to survive, and it won't ever do that. And a lot of spirituality implies that the human will be like that. But what can happen in the human body is there can be a movement from being that separate entity, that body which is moving to survive and always growing, to that stillness which is everything, and that's the unconditional love. But it won't manifest as behaviors. It's not about the behavior of the person. It's not about you having unconditional love and loving people unconditionally as a human. It's seeing that unconditional was always here, and everything was always bathed in that unconditional love. Even when the human is being selfish, or the human is not sharing, or shouting, or angry, or sad, or feeling rejected, there's always been unconditional love everywhere, and it's the nature of life. But you won't find it in one particular thing. The human often gets stuck in looking for that unconditional love in things. So it will look for it in a guru, it will look for it in the image of God.
Relationships.
In relationships. It will expect someone to love them unconditionally, and it's impossible really, because the human's set up to survive. It's like a tree. We will do really beautiful things as humans because we're set up to live as a group. So you will get acts of people, dying for other people, like giving up their life for other people. But that's in the bounds of being in a human group. That's what humans will do for each other. But that doesn't imply oneness in that way, or it doesn't imply unconditional love, because also the person that doesn't do it is also unconditional love. The person that doesn't give up its life for somebody else and just stands back or runs away, that also is unconditional love. There's nothing outside of unconditional love.
So even things that we see on the news and hear on the news, on some level, it's unconditional love?
Yeah, it is. Everything, all the bad things, the good things. And when the mind stops, when the human stops believing that it is the separate entity, and it stops judging the world as good and bad, and stops seeing the world as good and bad, then there will be nothing that's rejected, including what humans define as bad. It will be seen that nothing was ever at risk, really, ultimately. It doesn't mean that human doesn't try and save things or help things, but ultimately nothing was ever lost.
So this whole thing, I mean, you know, I've been through different teachings, etc. This thing about projecting and, you know, what you see outside is really something to projected, that you projected. That's all irrelevant. It's all just happening.
Yeah, it's all kind of irrelevant. It is all happening. This sort of teaching, though, might make you a more stable and balanced human, and the illusion that's projected inwards will also be projected outwards. So in a way, there is so if you see yourself as a victim, then you will always see perpetrators out there. That's part of the way the separate self works. You know, if the person wants to, if the illusion of self keeps repeating that it's a victim and it's hard done by and that it's had a bad life, then it needs to see perpetrators everywhere. But in a way that doesn't need to be fixed or changed. The movement that happens is that isn't the experiencer. That person that believes it's the victim, that person that believes it's been hurt by things, isn't the experiencer. That is an experience. And even when that's happening, there is a stillness in it all. There is a freedom in it all. There is still everything experiencing that. In that, as that, there is the freedom, not in changing it, not in stopping having projections. Projections happen with the ability to think. And there can be projections even when there's no identity. But knowing about projecting onto other people might, like we were talking about a few weeks ago, make the person happier, because it might stop acting out some of its really weird behaviours. So it might make it more relaxed and more happy, but that's not waking up. Waking up is seeing the stillness in all the projections, the freedom while all the projections are happening, and it's always here in everything.
Makes sense.
And that person that projects isn't the one that wakes up. That is happening in this. It's happening in everything. But that's not the experiencer. That's not you. That is an experience. So who's the experiencer? And that is everything. And there lies God. There lies freedom. If you look for it in the projections or in the separate self, it will be an endless cycle.
So you said there is God. So there is such a whatever, what we call God, source, universe. I mean, what is...
I know, and we will never... The thing about God, it's a very intelligent, or, I mean, even calling it intelligent is in our world. But God is everything, but God isn't found in this world. So we can never see God in this world. We can never pull it out and go, this is God. This is more God. God is invisible. It is everything. Every last thing is made up of God. But when we look inside of everything, we can never actually find God. we can't find the creator as a thing in this world. It's not a thing in this world, yet it is the whole world.
Okay.
I love the word God, but a lot of people don't like it because of the conditioning in Christianity, but I love it. And we'll never be able to look at God and never be able to see God, but yet it is all it. This is God experiencing itself in everything. And God doesn't have a judgment, so he's not judging, or she's not judging, or it's not judging the world it's creating. It doesn't have the ability to judge. It creates judging. And therefore we have this is bad, this is sad, this is horrible, how could God do this? But God is creating spontaneously and isn't working like we see things in time, like a human.
And the other thing, which is a little different than, but these were all teachings that I was kind of linking up with. And well, let me just ask the question: the thoughts and actions of prosperity and abundance. From what I'm understanding, that isn't even really relevant.
It's not relevant to. No, it's not relevant to non-duality at all. It's like talking about money or talking about McDonald's, but a human being that's having more thoughts of prosperity and abundancy will most probably be more happy. So those teachings might make the person happier, but it's not any more non-dual than anything else. But that might lead to a happier life. If you've had a person that's got really negative thinking, if their thinking changed to a bit more positive thinking, it might be a nicer experience. And then the life might be more abundant. If the thoughts are on that, the life might be more abundant. It might not be. But it's not to do with non-duality. That's about the person being happier.
It's just what is happening, either or.
Yeah, it's just what's happening. Some speakers, they say that the person's got to be happier before it can hear non-duality, but I don't understand. I don't know where they find the proof of that, because a lot of famous speakers this happened to, and they were in deep despair or deep suffering. So
sitting on bus benches under the bridge, etc. Before.
Yeah, like Katie Byron was a drug addict. Eckhart Tolle. So I don't know. I don't know how they know that, but that's what a lot of people say. So they teach both simultaneously. They teach making the human happier and non-duality, and often they aren't too clear about the difference. And I just speak about non-duality because I don't really know so much about therapy. Although I did it, I don't know. I don't really know how that worked. Like, I don't really know how to teach that or speak about that. And I don't know if I don't know if it's any relevance or not. Either argument it doesn't really matter. There's just non-duality, which is one.
That's right. Yeah. It doesn't really matter now from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, no me. It's kind of quick.
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
Say that again?
I just cut out a little bit there. I missed what you said.
No. But I appreciate you. Waiting for the book.
Oh, nice. Yeah, hopefully it will come soon.
Okay, darling.
Thanks, Jackie. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Alan.
Hello?
Is it working? Yeah, it's working. I called a few times and it kept not working.
Oh, thanks. I was watching Ustream and I didn't realize you're calling me.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So, am I in video or no?
No, you're not. No, I don't have strong enough internet.
Okay.
I'm upstairs today.
Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned, I don't know, like a week ago maybe, that there will be a sense of like comfort or joy when you listen to your talks. Or,
I think I've used the word resonance.
yeah, resonance or
Yeah.
sense of, yeah. So, I mean, there is a sense of enjoyment or resonance when I listen to you. I mean, obviously, you don't give anything really to do or hold on to or any hope.
I just try to stick to non-duality, although I do go off I go off talking about other things. But when I mean resonance, I mean it's like there is some form of knowing beyond yourself of what's being talked about, and that might be the side effect of joy or pleasant feelings, but it's not so much the pleasant feelings, it's like a knowing of what's being talked about, like, but not an intellectual thing. It's like it's like maybe like if you had an accident and you lost the sensation in your legs, and then somebody's reminding you about what it feels like to walk or to have legs, and there's a knowing of it, but it's maybe not quite like that. Or it's a knowing, like there's a knowing of this beingness or aliveness. Everything knows it because everything is it. It's just in the human, it's got so focused on itself and where it's going in time that it seems to have covered it, but there's a knowing of this boundlessness and this stillness which is everything, that this is never going anywhere, this is not really real or happening. It just seems like it is. And for some people, I don't know why, but in some body mind mechanisms, there's not so much interest in getting anymore, and then this begins to make sense, this begins to resonate somewhere. So that's how I kind of mean it, but it's hard to talk about what that resonance is because it's not a personal thing, it's not something that belongs to the human, and if it's not a personal thing or something that belongs to a human, then you can't find a word to describe it in our language because our language is based on me and personal and me as a subject and that as an object. So it's very hard to speak.
So that resonance, does it come through what you're saying, or is it?
I don't know how it works, to be honest.
Is it because I
don't know how it works. I don't know. There's lots of different theories around it. It seems from the memory of Lisa, it seemed to be that when non-duality was spoken about, like proper non-duality, through lots of different speakers, when they actually talked about non-duality and not therapy, but non-duality, there was a knowing so deeply of what was being talked about. But then I'd get confused about what I had to do and then all that other stuff. But it was like everything knew that. And then I kept thinking about myself and I kept thinking I'd got it or I hadn't got it, or it was about process or doing something or releasing emotions or therapy, because most non-duality speakers speak about therapy and waking up at the same time. So I thought I was deconstructing Lisa and I was watching the deconstruction of Lisa, or I was helping the deconstruction of Lisa in some way. But really, when I listened to non-duality, there was a knowing of it. And then sometimes even when Lisa would think about it, it was known. And it would just was that way. But then I would personalize it and think it was about me getting it. So until it really began to collapse, I didn't recognize that as such. I was more focused on me and what I was getting from it.
So who recognized it though?
But that's the really crazy part.
Because
right now, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the words for it because it's so hard. So right now, the humans all think that who's listening now is the thinker, is the human. And in one way we could say it is, like the brain is being used in that way, and that's how life is experiencing itself. But ultimately, when you go through everything, like if you were to look deeply into the nature of what the body's made up of, if you kept going down, you'd find different particles until you got to nothing. When it really gets penetrated, it seems like it's the body or the human listening, but actually there is absolute emptiness or stillness listening. But it's also producing the sounds actually as well, so it's producing everything. It's not something that's moving in time that's actually listening to all of this. We think it is though, because we've identified with time, and we've identified with this person that came here and sat and listened to it. So we think who's experiencing now is this person that we can see that's moving through time. And so Alan is listening to that, and that's what we're so convinced of, and we think, we might even be more scientific about that, we think it's the body now that's listening to it. But actually the body is just a functioning, and it goes deeper than that, because who's creating the brain, who's creating the ears, who's creating the eyes? And then the less that there's the identification with anything, the more this single-pointedness comes through, like this direct dart, that this is coming absolutely from nowhere. Every sound is totally silent simultaneously. And all of this is for all these forms absolutely empty. And God is the fullness and the emptiness. So right now there's not somebody that's seeing. That's all in the manifestation, that's all in the dream, that's how it seemed to be, that's how it's meant to be played. But actually the stillness expressing sight, the stillness expressing sounds and hearing, the stillness or no thing expressing everything. And that's who you've always been. And when I say you, it's only through lack of words. I don't mean you as anything to do with Alan, I mean through that. Who you've always been is this stillness and this everything. Just having the experience of a human apparently looking at an outside world. This isn't anything you can think about, so this is why I call it a resonance, because as soon as you think, you're going into the human world. You're going into the world of time. This is something through that. It's way beyond what we think we know. It's way beyond consciousness, or the idea that consciousness is experiencing all this. It's breathtaking. And it was here in every movement. It was here in every sound and every sight. Everything is spontaneously arising from mystery, from God, and is God. And that's always been the source of things. And you've never been vulnerable to life. You are life. It's just Alan that's vulnerable to life, and that's what it's meant to be. Alan's meant to seem like he's vulnerable to life. But you were never Alan. Alan was a part of life, and life was who you truly are. And I know I keep using the word you and who you are, but it's only because of lack of language. I have to use that in order to carry on making sentences. Unless I was super intelligent, I could think of a non-personal way to put it. But that's a joke again, because it's not really me that's speaking, but it's being spoken through this body, and it will have to, the way that it plays is it has to speak with the level of intelligence of this body. It has to speak with the tools of this body. It can't suddenly start speaking like a man. Although it has to speak with these tools. So with this intelligence, because that's how it's functioning. But actually these sounds aren't coming from a person in time. That's just how it seems. That's just how the game is played. They're actually coming directly from no-thing. And that no-thing is everything. And you won't die. The person will die, and everything that Alan knew and remembered and had experienced will die. But you will never die. Because you were never alive.
So why is there this persistence of, like, yeah, there is an Alan here, and...
Because that's how it's meant to be played. That's how life is playing it at the moment. And life, no-thingness, doesn't have any agenda or care whether Alan wakes up or not. Because life, when it's all pierced through, it has no human quality, so it doesn't care if Alan gets it or not. It can't. It's not that it doesn't care, it just can't produce those qualities. It produces those qualities within a dream, within rules. But it can't inherently do that. So it's like you speaking to a playwright. That used to be my career, so I know it quite well. It's like you saying to me, as one of the characters, it would be a beautiful conversation actually in the middle of a play, for the characters to suddenly speak to the writer and say, why do you keep doing this shit to me again? I don't want to experience it again. And the playwright's like, well, I've got to write some drama, something's got to happen, otherwise you'd just be stood there on stage. But to the person, when it's really identified, it's like, oh my God, how can you do this again? But you've never really been that person. You've never suffered. You've always been life. Everything. Even in the darkest of thoughts or the deepest of fears, there's always been total, absolute freedom.
So there's not an Alan listening to Elisa, and there's not an Alan.
No, there's an appearance of Alan that comes up, might saying, I spoke, but that's not who's actually speaking. Alan only exists in past and future, and this isn't past and future now. This is the present. This is the gift. Alan, everything you describe yourself to be will only come from the past. He's not here now. He's never been here. He can never be here. He's been an appearance which comes and goes here, but he's never actually been. He's never experienced a thing. That's not who you are, Alan. How can you be the past? Oh, the dogs are just going to bark now. Just 1 second. Just get, if you've got earplugs in, take them out. Oh no, maybe they don't. When the phone rings, normally the big one howls. Oh, he didn't. Very good, Cassidy. And even though we can seemingly speak in time, and this is where the confusion of the human is, so I can say, oh, Cassidy normally barks, and it's as if I'm talking about him, but that's just a description of the body. That's a description in time. It's not an actuality. Who he truly is stillness. He has no sense that he normally barks, or that he has a big bark or big teeth. It's just expressing in and as stillness. So what is there now, Alan, if who's listening if you don't think of yourself in time? Who's listening now?
It's just like it's just sound.
And so who hears that sound?
I don't know.
And that I don't know is absolutely beautiful. That the nearest you could say to it, I think, in language, is everything hears it. Like that's the nearest, like the sound is appearing and it is heard in and as everything. It's in everything. So everything I mean is like, it's this hearing it, not you as a person moving in time.
Well, how do you step out of that though? I mean,
I know, it will get dropped. And I mean, it's being spoken about now. Like, so it is expressing itself. It's expressing, hang on, you're not that person. It's expressing it through this Lisa body, but it's nothing to do with a Lisa that we could define, but it's being expressed through this Lisa body. And so it's coming out, but it's not about, it feels like for the person that's moving through time, it's not about you getting there, a destination, because it's always been that. And that illusion that you are somebody experiencing this from past and going to future will begin to crumble, because it's always been a lie, and it's where the suffering lied.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even, I'm still chasing after things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
but
that will even carry on, even if identity drops, but it won't matter anymore. Like the body is set up to move towards pleasure. So the body will always chase things, but it won't be you chasing it anymore and your happiness. Prior to when the identification's there, getting the things is your happiness and is the most important thing in the world. Including enlightenment, that becomes the most important thing in the world. And then as the past and future begin to be seen not as you, that you're not something in the past moving to the future, then the seeking becomes, you could say the seeking disappears, but there will still always be the movement towards pleasure. So you will always still prefer a nice dinner over some rotten old dinner. The body will always move to survive, and the way the body survives is it indicates good things through pleasure and bad things through pain.
So there's, when you say, who's listening, what's listening, I recognize that.
Yeah.
But
then the person comes back again. But that's what I'm trying to say, is that it is beginning to resonate. It's coming, the clouds are beginning to clear, but the person's like, oh God, I want it over now. But that's only in the personal world, I want it over now. Because you're never really going into the future, but that's how it begins to feel. In a way, this is the funniest talk that ever is, because I'm really giving you nothing, because this is a stripping away of what you are. So there is nowhere you will go. It's like a collapsing into this. Instead of you dreaming. There it goes. Sorry. Bad bark. Guess. Okay, I think he's finished now. I completely forgot what we were talking about.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Alan, it's a joy talking about it.
All right. Thank you. I'll keep listening.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Easy. Hey, Phyllis. Hey, Lisa. Sure.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. I wanted to speak with you. I haven't spoken with you for a while, and I want to speak with you about what's impossible to speak about. There's been an apparent dropping away of the one that's called Lisa.
Hang on a sec, sorry, I'm sorry.
What?
Sorry, here he goes.
Really loud barks.
It's terrible. This is my mum's dog. It's piercing from this side as well. Just
that's
a second.
that's not the one with the teeth, is it?
No, this is the big one. It's an Alsatian cross, that's why it's so terrible.
Oh. Yeah, so what's left is as you say, it's just nothing.
Nothing.
Just nothing, and yet all the nothing is appearing as everything, and knowing itself as everything.
Yeah. I mean, even the knowing, even I suppose, goes in time in a way, in a little bit of a way. But that's how it's creating the knowing in order to experience everything. But it's all of it. It's the knowing, it's the everything, all of it.
Yeah. And nobody's knowing anything. It's nobody knowing anything. It's just knowing itself.
And knowing in thought forms appears and disappears, but it's of no relevance. It means nothing and goes nowhere.
No, and the one that's the one that was Lisa, seems to be was Lisa.
This is going to be a very confusing conversation, Lisa.
I know.
Talking impersonally when you've got two Lisas is going to be a disaster.
that one's just like, it seems to be carrying on. There seems to be a change, but the one that's Lisa just is a kind of bimbling along with it, really, not really knowing what's going on. There seems to be a sort of a disorientation, but that's okay as well, because that's just that's just all what's happening as such.
And if the person has to go into suffering or it will happen, but it will change. And it's always never going anywhere. Even in the darkest of days, it's always held in everything as everything or nothing.
And now, everything that you say, at least Ken says, it's absolutely known. It's like oneness just speaking.
Oh, lovely. And that's what I mean about the resonance that I was talking about earlier. It's known. And sometimes that resonance seems to grow, but it's not really. It just knows. And when it's really spoken about non-duality, it's like,
and it's not known by anyone. It's only known by itself. And it's really impossible to speak of. And
try and tell people about impossible.
Yeah, and everything, it's like, it's all just, I can't even, all just is being all at once, and dying and born all at once. It's really hard to like explain, and I try to speak a bit to people I know who are also in the same, non-duality.
Even in non-duality, like this is the I would say radical end of it. So even in non-duality, this way of speaking isn't very popular. In the world, it's not popular at all. Even in non-duality, it's really not a popular way to speak. The popular way to speak is becoming and being consciousness and awareness and becoming that.
And there's nothing to become anything.
No.
Nothing to become. There's nowhere to go. It's a total loss of everything that thought it was going to become something.
Yeah.
Or it was going somewhere, or it has been somewhere.
Yeah.
And and yet there's still like this movement of gratitude to you, and to Tony. But I know that it's the same oneness, just like coming through, like the same oneness coming through this computer screen and this hand and this. All being, all just is. And there's nothing spiritual about it even.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Not at all. This one that's called this body here, Lisa, does not fit into that category at all. I really like science fiction and horror and robots and stuff.
Yeah, and it's really not spiritual, but it's funny how often people go around the spiritual mountain and have a good go, but it's got nothing to do with any spiritual behaviour. There's nothing which is more it.
No, because even the spiritual behaviour is just appearances happening in this, and it's no more relevant than
McDonald's.
I don't know. Oh, what?
McDonald's.
McDonald's, McDonald's. It's just all the same appearing, and it's just so wonderful. And I just was just moved to just share with you.
Oh, that's lovely. That's nice to hear, Lisa.
I'm really hoping that you're going to come to England in December or something.
Oh well, I'm in England at the moment, but I'm not doing any talks. But whereabouts in England are you? I'm sure that's just Brighton. I knew, Brighton. Oh, and I was gonna maybe go down to Brighton again to see. I have a friend down there who I do talks with.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, if you come down, it'd be really nice to see you, meet up for a coffee or something. And
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for calling, Lisa. It's nice to hear that.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Here's Richard. Sorry, I can't say your name. Radoslav. Sorry, has one more question. I spoke to him earlier. He says, Radoslav, I think it's. Who doesn't like Cassidy's sound? He said, who? Cass. Come, Cass. Look at me, so funny. Oh. My parents are just having building work, so it's a bit of a mess up here. He's so sweet. Mr. Cass. Okay. So it says, seems like you're saying be blank in the mind is better than being human with its thoughts, memories, times, inventions. Can you clarify? Well, it's not better in the mind, but the dog doesn't suffer. It's not better or worse, but the dog doesn't suffer. The human does suffer because this energy identifies with being certain things, whereas the dog doesn't have the ability to do that. But what can happen in humans now is there can be intelligent thinking, so there can be memories, time, the appearance of time, inventions, all the complicated thinking, but for no one. There can be that movement. It's not better being a dog, but a dog doesn't suffer. And when the human does suffer, so when there is identification there, and it's the dream's not going well, it can be quite terrible and terrifying. Okay, so Ilango!
In the mind, but the dog doesn't suffer.
Hello.
Hey, Ilango!
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Your video is not seen.
No, I'm upstairs again. On Wednesday I should be able to go nearer to the box.
You're able to see me?
No, I can't see you. No, it's better I leave it off because I'm too far away from the box, from the Wi-Fi.
Okay. So you're not able to see me?
No.
No?
No, Ilango.
Okay.
I've turned it off on my Skype so I can't see you.
Fine. So it's an audio chat.
Yeah.
Today you're talking about the resonance.
Yeah. Again, we talked about it last week, I think.
Yeah. So resonance, resonance is between two objects.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Ilango, I really fail when I speak about it because I can only put it in words which are in opposite, so you'll always find the opposite. The thing that I like about resonance is it reminds me of music or something, but it really isn't two objects that are resonating ultimately, but it's life remembering itself, and all there ever is life.
Okay. And you have been always saying that there is no teaching and there is no prescription.
Mm-hmm.
But are we, during these talks, analyzing the description of what life is?
I think that what happens in these talks, but again these are just words, so it doesn't really matter what I say, but is that something's being remembered by these talks, but it's not an intellectual thing. I'm not presenting to you intellectually. There's loads of holes in what I say and I contradict myself a lot. It's more that in every word that's spoken there is a screaming nothing, everything, this, in every word that's being spoken. So the mind keeps trying to make it something in time and something for the person, and then these talks are simply pointing to this. But ultimately, that's just a dance around language, and that really can't be it. But
yeah, 5 years ago you were awake and enlightened. So before that,
that's the way the story goes. The story goes that before Lisa suffered, and then this moment happened, and then this massive change happened. But that's just the story of it. It's not a truth in any way. Just like you would say you went to your friends for lunch today, and the lunch wasn't very good, and then another person said they went and the lunch was great. It's not a definite. It's just words.
Can we have an analogy like saying before Bali, like you were like us, blind, and now you have got the light. So you are on both sides of the fence.
Like but it's only relevant to you guys. I don't think about this. It only ever comes up for you guys. I don't sit here and think before Bali I was blind and now I see. It's simply life happening. I'm not really thinking about myself in a timeline, only for practical reasons. Or it's only for practicality, or for these talks, or in social situations. But ultimately, it's so irrelevant before and after. It's relevant to you guys because you feel like you want to listen to someone that knows what they're talking about. But it's gone. That's gone. It's like the tree that fell in the forest. Did it make a sound if nobody heard it? That Bali and that Lisa before that suffered is completely gone. And did it ever happen? It's totally irrelevant and mind-blowing. It seemed to happen, but it's like a dream at night last night.
But it happened.
Really?
Pardon?
Really?
You must tell me.
Well, it seems to happen, but I mean, last night, if you dreamt last night or in the last couple of weeks, did those dreams ever really happen?
The dreams happened, yes, but they were dreams.
Are you sure they happened? When you wake up in the morning, where did they happen? How did they happen?
They happened during sleep. That's how we think. A dream is happening during sleep. Sometimes we daydream also, opening our eyes. Where images and thoughts and emotions flash across in the brain or whatever, we don't know about it. So the reason why I'm asking this is there anything that they say some sages are born enlightened, like probably Adi Shankara or somebody like that. But you had in between this change. So I was just trying to find out, like, is there anything that you can tell us which could help us? Because your talks, though you say it's a resonance and there are no two objects, is actually an act of helping us. The guys out here. Us, we.
It might seem that way, but in the moment when I'm speaking, it doesn't feel like that. There is simply speaking happening.
Yeah, I understand that the speaking is happening and God is speaking to God. I mean, that part of it I understand. The entire universe is actually creating this miracle and this mystical, magical moment. But you had teachers before, and though you do not agree that teacher-disciple relationships exist, but a lot of people like Wayne Liquorman, who came after Ramesh Balsekar, all these people talk about some relationships happening, and you have had this in your history. So can we just wish it aside?
Can we?
I understand in the present nothing is happening. Yeah.
Why do you? Why? Well, I understand. Because the human wants to feel like it's following something, it needs the guru-disciple relationship. But you aren't. Who is Elango? You aren't you. You think you're a person that's come from time and arrived here, and that you walk to your computer before it's turned on. But actually, you were never that person. That person was an experience appearing in this. That person wasn't experiencing. The person that came into the room, the person that had breakfast, that slept last night, that's a doctor, that's read all these books and knows all these things, that's Indian, he's not experiencing that now. He is an experience appearing. And the suffering lies in the identification with being that person. It's not the disappearance of, it's not the disappearance of that person. That person can appear and disappear, but that's not the experiencer. So who now is listening to Lisa? Who now is waking up? Who is going to follow a teacher?
We've discussed it. We apparently thought that it is the me software which is sort of creating this addition of this personality to the present moment and keeps on linking it up and creates the story of Ilango.
Yeah.
And that me software creates the suffering.
And it creates the idea of this teacher out there as well, that it needs to follow.
Correct.
And so, importance or not, if there is a interest and resonance with what Lisa's speaking, then that's lovely. And I do these talks twice a week, and and if you're in Europe, then I speak regularly in Europe. But that doesn't mean that who you are is that person that's in relationship with the Lisa character. That is an experience happening. Who you've always been and what's being pointed to here is the stillness, is the no thing, which is everything now, is the present.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
That the present is everything, but then this personality pops in and out, and this me software links it up to a story.
Yeah, and then it thinks that this is more holy, or that this is more sacred than something else, and that's okay. If it thinks that it's important, this relationship, then that's okay. If that's the way it's going, that's the thoughts that are being produced. But who's the experiencer? That one that thinks that it is of benefit isn't the experiencer here, isn't the person that wakes up. What's being remembered is no thing, which is here always and is everything.
But the problem for the person happens because of the suffering.
Yeah. So then on the personal level, we could tell the story that following Lisa is good, or having the guru relationship is good, or we could tell the story that having the guru relationship is bad, and neither of them are correct. Neither of them matter. Either way, whichever story you go down.
No, I'm not interested in the story at all.
Okay.
My question is not about the teacher-disciple relationship at all, though I did pop that now.
Yeah.
My basic question is that we have sort of defined enlightenment as a movement from the person to the whole.
Yeah.
And another point was it's the end of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the end of suffering can happen only when this me software stops operating.
When this disclaimer,
me software stops operating, and I am sort of, it's not the question of should we follow a guru or a teacher disciple. My question is, how do I disconnect this me software from my intellectual understanding in this experience? Is there any way I can do this? It's the whole asking the whole.
Yeah.
How to disconnect a software from this body-mind apparatus?
The only answer I can give, but remember my answers can never be truth in language, because language is something moving and it's a comparison. But the nearest answer is what Ramesh said as well, is it's happening. So you ask me how, and my reply is it's happening. How do I get there? And I say, it's happening.
Life is happening.
It's happening, yeah. So how do I get there? And the most accurate, but it can never be true, is it's happening.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask was, even in your recent, one of the posts, there was about the pain pleasure principle, about the predator, human as a predator, and being a pain pleasure animal. And the pain is when you have your hand cut or burn your hand, there is pain. Thinking about it with the me creates suffering. Similarly, the happiness part of it is, you eat something good, there is happiness. Then you crave for it, it becomes a pleasure.
Yeah.
Correct. So what is it that experiences this? Is it the body, or is it the me, or is it the wholeness? Where is this pain pleasure principle, this experience happening to Ilango?
Yeah. Those are sensations, chemical reactions happening in the body. And then consciousness is aware of it. But the more you pierce it, you begin to realize that consciousness is made up of nothing. But so it's a combination. There's the experience of pleasure happening in the body, and then there's that registration that happens in the brain. This is pleasure. So the repetition of it and the wanting of more of it. And it's a sensation happening in the body with also the combination of consciousness. Then this added dynamic of the me comes in and says, that's who I am. Those chemical reactions, that functioning is who I am, the consciousness, the feelings, the pleasure. And that's not true. Who you are is life itself.
How do I erase this me from this life itself, what you're teaching us?
It's happening, Ilango. It is happening.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating sometimes, but it's also really beautiful, this message. Like at some points the person feels frustrated because it wants to go somewhere, but it's also really beautiful. I mean, what a lovely answer. I'm not saying to you, you've got to go and do this and you've got to sell yourself to the devil in order to get it. I'm saying it's happening. It's being taken care of.
It's happening, life is happening, you are life. That's what you're telling us.
And it's being taken care of. It's not your job. Come, AC, you can come in. Come on. Come on. Sorry, just have to let my dog in. Come on, you can come in. Good girl. It's okay, it's okay. Go. Okay, I'm back again now.
Yeah. You're being taken care of, you said.
Yeah, it's happening. It's being taken care of. Everything, every last detail, every drop of rain. That doesn't mean that good things are always going to happen to Lango in our world of things, but I mean it's all happening. It's all doing its dance beyond you, beyond any idea of choice or free will. The rain falls, the wind blows, the sun shines, the heart beats, the lungs breathe, and the mouth speaks and the eyes see. It happens. And then this little person says, me, I am in control of it all. There's some people in A Course of Miracles that even believe that they are in control of the weather. If
so this is an automatic universe.
Yeah, it's automatic. It's a happening.
So our conversation is automatic.
It's a happening, yes, it's automatic. Well, in our limited language, we could call it automatic.
So what is to happen will happen when it is destined to happen.
Yes, yes.
Wow. I think that seals that part of the questioning that the so-called personality has no say in this life of this body mind.
Yeah.
So getting frustrated is actually a stupid thing.
But if that happens, then that's what's happening.
That's the design. That's the design for this person to suffer, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Till that bang comes like for Lisa.
Until that one, so bang comes like.
Bang. The bang and Lisa explodes into nothingness and everything.
Oh yeah.
Personality sort of. The big bang.
The big bang.
Yeah. Hoping the big bang happens to us.
It will. It's a happening.
But how is it that only 1 in a billion or 1 in a sort of, it happens only to very few people usually.
It's what everything's made up of. There's no other place to go.
What do you mean by that?
There's no other destination for the person.
Mm-hmm. So ultimately what you mean is every human being will get enlightened?
Yes.
You mean in future births or in this birth?
That's what everything's made up of. As soon as when the body dies, there will be total freedom.
For who?
Nobody. But it's always been for nobody. Even when the body's alive and it dies, the illusion of self, it's still nobody that wakes up.
You were talking also last time about space and time when we got cut off. And you said when I put my finger towards the webcam and said, this is space. You said no, it is just a picking up of the brain picks up these things and creates space.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little more about this? Because time is something which is like the Pink Panther. It's like a phantom. It keeps on moving and we don't understand how it moves from the future to the present to the past. But space is something which is sensible. Like in the sense, Each of our five senses are feeling it every moment. There is a room, there is a computer.
Yeah, and that you can potentially walk out of the room. You think that you can walk outside of the room, and that you can walk away from the room. And but that's only happening in imagination as well. Actually, there is just stillness expressing itself and changing in every instant. But the imagination puts it together and thinks, I walked out of the room and now I'm somewhere else. It's the same somewhere else, just with the different scenery. There's not really space. When you put your foot up against the wall and it looks like there's distance, that's imagination that's filling it all in. The same imagination that's imagining yesterday and tomorrow. They're interrelated, time and space.
So there is no tomorrow, there was no yesterday.
There seems to be. That's the way that this illusion or this world appears, is that there's time and space, but ultimately no. There is simply what's happening, which is undivided, which is happening and not happening, and everything spontaneously appearing from this, not from the past. Past appears here, future appears here. But it seems to happen. It seems like I walked my dog before this talk, and then I'm going to go downstairs and have dinner after this talk. But ultimately, that's not a reality. That always appears here.
But even you say that you walk the dog and then you're going to have dinner.
Yeah, that's the way. That's how it happens in the human world, and it's not me. It's not me as saying it. That's the functioning of the Lisa character, and that's how it functions in the Lisa world.
But do you mean to say you never walked your dog?
No, it seemed to happen, but ultimately no. I didn't walk my dog.
You didn't walk your dog?
It seemed to be the way of things that Lisa, in the Lisa world, in the world where Lisa appears, that she walked her dog, sat down, came onto Ustream, and then later will have dinner.
Yeah.
But ultimately, everything is spontaneously appearing for stillness, and that image and those ideas are only ever appearing here. They're not an actuality.
I understand now. The actuality is that we are just listening to sounds.
Yeah.
But there was a walking of the dog.
That's unknowable. That's a mystery. There seemed to be a past where there was a walking of the dog and the energy was manifesting of that, but it's nothing that you can ever contain. It's a total mystery as to what's happening. And now there is this, and this is all there actually ever is. With the image of past and future.
No, I understand that now what's happening is the entire universe creating a miracle of two people speaking as everything else in the entire universe is happening. But is it not that, every second is moving?
Well, not really. I mean, when all bodies die and humans die out, will this have ever happened?
But as we speak, every sentence is comprehended.
Yeah. In the human world, we seem to have time. What about my dog now? Did yesterday happen to my dog? And what about when all the humans die out? Did this ever happen?
It has happened, but it has not been registered by,
Are you sure you can say that?
With evidence, yes. Without evidence, no. Hello?
Hello. Oh, I mean, like it's like the analogy of the Zen koan of if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make a sound?
I mean, that's
if there's nobody to think about it, did this ever happen?
That's a big question mark.
I know, it's beautiful.
There was another thing I think Einstein said was, if you do not look, when I am not looking at the moon, is the moon there?
Yeah.
It was by Einstein, I believe. And another thing I wanted to tell you was, Einstein, in one of his autobiographical quotes with one very close friend, kept on telling him that he was not able to decipher the now, the present moment. In physics, there is no answer to the present moment, the now.
Yeah. Because this present moment is God, and God can never be found in this world. So we as humans will never work it out.
Once again, present moment is God, is it?
Yeah, and God can never be found in this world, so we will never be able to work it out. We can only ever work out time and what's in time.
So what's your definition of God?
Not a thing in this world, yet everything. But we will never be able to work out this present moment, ever.
Okay. Now, you are in England now, am I right?
Uh-huh.
You're in England.
Well, I mean, that's how we speak as humans, but yes, I'm in England.
Yeah. But you remember your parents, you home back to your parents' home. I mean, these things are happening to Lisa.
That's how this world works. Yes, this experience at the moment is through a human, and the human lives in time. It doesn't make it a reality. So the human can sit there and say, yes, I have parents back in England, and I'm going to have dinner with them later, and they're converting their house. But that doesn't make what we speak about an actuality. The human thinks it is an actuality. It thinks what it thinks is true. It thinks it can look at life, it can look at the world. It can't. Thoughts appear in this world. Thoughts appear in this, and it's part of the human functioning, but it's not a reality. It's like the bird thinking that it can comprehend the world by its singing, by what it sings. So it's like the whole world can be wrapped up in tweet, 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 tweet. And it's the same with humans.
Every thought is an image from the past. This is not the reality. But as I'm looking at the computer,
and it's really limited to the human brain size. But it doesn't mean that we should exclude that that's what the experience seemingly is at the moment. It's looking through a human body which works in time and space. But it doesn't mean it's real, and it doesn't mean it's actually happening. And the only freedom in that dream that's appearing at the moment as a human experience is sorry, my dog's just being told off. She's eaten something with my parents, I think. So I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, that's gone.
The freedom in the human experience
is the present, which will never be found by the human, because the human is in time and space, and the present isn't something that can be found in time and space. It is time and space, but it cannot be found in that world of things, in subject and object. It cannot be found there, yet it is all of it. It's fantastic. It's the what do you call it? The carrot in front of the human. You can never find God, yet everything is God.
You have said this. This came in yesterday's Julie's post from your book.
Oh yeah.
This is always free. It is so radical and so beautiful. It is being missed because the apparent person has been looking for a singular thing for its happiness, like peace or happiness or good behavior.
Yeah.
So I think all the seekers, we keep asking for enlightenment as a mystic, earlier on at least in our seeking, as a mystical, blissful, as a mystical, blissful, like the angels are singing and, the rainbows appearing.
Yeah.
But now as we hear teachers like you coming down up front and telling us, cut the crap, it is just this. The question boils down to a very selfish question of, how can I, Ilango, live with a body-mind mechanism which is automatic without the suffering? That's the question it finally boils down to.
Yeah. The suffering will stop ultimately when it stops, and it's not anything you can do. And in a way, the more effort that Ilango puts into it, the more he suffers. The more that he tries to get to freedom, the more he suffers, because the more he's running in time. So in that sense, Ilango cannot wake himself up, and he cannot make himself feel better in that way. In the prison, though, there are ways to tidy the prison, but this isn't something that I know about. Like I was talking about with Jackie earlier, like if somebody's got really negative, dark thought patterns, then exploring them might help relieve those patterns. Or if somebody's really traumatized from the past, that might help make the prison better. That's not waking up, but it might make things a nicer dream.
But even that has to be an automatic update, like the computer.
Yeah, but everything is automatic, but that doesn't mean that the human doesn't go and seek it out. Seeking it out is automatic, but it doesn't mean that the human doesn't contemplate it, think about it, look it up on the internet. That is part of what's happening. The human functions through apparent choice. So it might hear Lisa saying that if you want to feel better, you go and do therapy, or go and do some forms of therapy or massage, and then it might go and look it up. It might think, I'll look up therapy and and look it up on the internet, and it might decide to go for it, but that is the automatic functioning of the human, just like the automatic function of the tree is to take nutrients from the soil. The human appears with apparent choices and apparent thinking in order to get things sparked out. It's sparked off. It thinks that when it hears what I say, that it's got to give up doing everything. I've got to stop doing it. The human will always function with apparent choices and decisions and logic and thinking and contemplating which one's the best one. But that doesn't imply that that's who you are. That is not the experiencer, and that's not the actual source of how it happens. That's the appearance. The appearance of choice doesn't mean somebody's choosing. That's just what's appearing in this.
But why does it is okay for people like us seekers in the entire world who are caught up still in the maya or the illusion of life, asking questions and expecting answers for getting our freedom. But Lisa is an entity who never compromises on the delivery of her oneness. Why should she talk about a cage and then a therapy for Jackie or whoever it is? She should just say like there is no therapy. Why does Lisa compromise or come down from her position of non-conformity of the oneness? I wanted to ask a couple of talks ago. You were talking about therapy, about massage and other things. Why does Lisa say that?
Well, ultimately it just is coming out now, but like it's just what's coming. But because a lot of people come here with a lot of suffering, and there could be a tidying up of a cage. Somebody's coming with a big opening up of a wound and bleeding coming out, and they say, but nothing's happening. Actually, you could go to a hospital and just get a bandage to put around the wound. Like, saying nothing's happening is not going to help that. I don't see a problem with saying that, but I don't know how to make the cage better. That's not non-duality, and that's not what this is talking about, just like I'm not talking about how to fix a broken leg. But a lot of people that are coming to the talks are expecting help in the prison. And there's nothing wrong with tidying up, and there's an attempt to inform people that there can be making the prisons better, but that's not here. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make the prison better. Some people hear what I say and they think and the new thought patterns that arise is, she's telling me that I just have to suffer like hell and not attempt to make it better. Like, I'm not saying that.
So you're talking like a comforter, like a friend.
I don't know really. Can't really work it out intellectually.
That's how I look at it, because you say there is an illusory cage, and you're giving an illusory medicine.
Well, I don't know if I'm really giving a medicine, because I wouldn't know what those medicines are. But I'm just saying that the cage can be made better. If you're lying there in agony with a broken leg, there can be going to doctors and fixing that leg. If you've been traumatized by an aeroplane, there could be going and seeking trauma therapy. And a lot of people listen to me and think that it means you have to sit on a chair and not do anything. And that's not what's being talked about here. What's being talked about is non-duality, which says there is nobody there.
Yeah. So some of the talks ago, when I heard you talking about this therapy, I was thinking basically any teacher, any guru or person in your status is actually a killer of the I.
Yes. Yeah.
But whenever you talk about the cage and prescriptions of therapy, you're actually not killing. You're again, trying to improve the me. Am I right?
Yeah.
This is just a clarification for me.
Yeah. It's not. I'm not. That's totally for the person when I'm talking about inside the cage. It doesn't help you wake up at all. It's nothing to do with non-duality. But you don't need to sit listening to me with a broken leg and open wounds and sitting there in panic because you had a burglar break in a week ago and you're petrified, and like, it doesn't. But I'm just trying to make that clear, the difference between doing up the cage, making the life of the apparent person better, and non-duality. They're not the same things. And it might not be so relevant to you, Alango, because in the West, non-duality is very mixed up with therapy now. Most non-duality speakers speak, I would say, 80% about therapy and making the dream better, and then only 20% about actual non-duality.
So are you compromising on that?
No, not therapy and non-duality have got nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other. But if your house is dirty, there can be cleaning of the house. That doesn't negate, by me saying there's nobody there and that there isn't somebody, doesn't negate cleaning the house. That's what I'm trying to point out. Like, I'm not against it. Some radical non-duality speakers like myself would say, don't clean the house, don't, and would completely, and I'm not saying do or don't do these things. I'm just trying to point out clearly what non-duality is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you do or don't do them here, ultimately, but it might make the illusory self more comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with making the illusory self more comfortable. A lot of speakers would say that by making the illusory self more comfortable, you're trapping yourself more in the dream. But I don't think that. I think that's impossible as well.
Yeah, looping back to the question a few minutes ago that I was asking that is there any way to end the suffering? Then you said the more you try to do something, you'll be caught up in that web of illusion. But some teachers, like for example, Eckhart Tolle says, be in the now.
Yeah.
You even don't advocate that, right?
No, but when I'm saying but when I said that to you, Elango, I was speaking to you from the perspective of non-duality. I wasn't speaking to you from the inside the cage trying to make things better. That's that's different. So when I'm saying to you, you'll constantly be looping, that's because you're looking for liberation in the cage. You will never find liberation in the cage. There you will circle forever. If you've got if you're in the cage and you've got a broken arm and your arm is gaping and bleeding, you will be able to fix that arm in the cage. You'll put a bandage on it and take medicines and the arm will get better. If you've been traumatized by a dog before and you go for trauma therapy, there's a good chance that trauma will get better. However, but you will never solve the non-duality problem within the cage. That you will loop forever. This is the distinction I'm trying to make. So you try to look for yourself in that cage. You try to look for non-duality in that cage. You try to look for freedom in that cage, and you will circle that cage like a hamster goes in its wheel forever. But if you've got a broken arm, that can be fixed within the cage. That's the law of the dream. That something gets broken, it can be repaired. If you are scared of something, that might be overcome. But you will never find non-duality in that cage. That will go on forever. The more you look for yourself in the cage, the more you will start running. And this is the distinction I try to make, but it's a very hard distinction because people always see the fixing of themselves as waking up, as liberation. And that's not what's being talked about here. And all speakers, most speakers, speak about therapy and fixing the broken arm and non-duality as the same thing, and they're not the same thing.
This fixing up of the arm, what happen only if there is a destined effect to that.
Ultimately, yes. It's only if that happens, if the impulses and the urges come and the thoughts come. Yeah.
So as long as the me is there, it's the hamster story.
As long as the me's there, the me might accomplish getting more money. It might accomplish fixing up even though it's not the me acting independently, but the person might accomplish fixing up the arm. But the me will never find liberation in the cage, in the prison.
So the ultimate liberation is when the me collapses.
Yes.
Is there a way for that?
Not in the cage, no. Nope. But the cage can be tidy, but in the cage, non-duality cannot be found. In the world, no thing, God, cannot be found, but it is every ounce of it simultaneously, but that cannot be seen by somebody.
So let us not talk about the cage.
Okay.
Let's not talk about the world. Let's talk about just this moment.
Yeah.
There is nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing.
And everything.
And there is this, which is stillness appearing as sound. Stillness appearing as movement, silence appearing as sound. Or you could say the big one, no thing appearing as everything.
Okay, another question, I mean this more in a lighter vein. Before 5 years ago and now, before 5 years ago you were like us, like seekers of truth and whatever. And when we start thinking about what is this mysterious power doing all this miraculous, mystical thing, now after 5 years, are you able to get a glimpse into this magic happening? As you can tell us, we are in this
All
side of
there
the.
is magic happening. All there is magic.
How is it happening so greatly?
Oh, I can't go behind the scenes, but all there is, it is.
That only the enlightened ones know about it.
I can't step out of this and look at God from a distance. There's nothing separate from God to be able to look at him, or her, or it. It is everything. It's this very sound. It's this very light. It's total magic appearing, and it's happening and not happening.
Yeah, but do you agree that there is a his or a her or a nit which is creating all these things?
No, but I have to use language again. Like, that's why I say all of them.
Yeah, the oneness is creating this.
But it's not creating separately from it.
But there is creation happening and destruction simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Well, I mean, nothing can be ultimately right because it's language trying to grasp something they can't grasp. But this is appearance happening and appearing and disappearing. The forms growing and
can we say like
moving
what
and changing?
Huh? Yeah, can we say that there is an energy flux happening every second, every nanosecond?
I don't know what that means.
Energy.
Like an energy flux?
Energy movement. The famous Einstein equation, energy is equal to mass. The mass of my body, your body, this computer is actually energy in a different form.
Yeah.
Is it that this energy is constantly changing and that is the God?
Yes. But when you go inside of energy is not a thing, yet it's everything.
Yeah.
But it's nearly time to end now, Alango. We could go on forever.
Yeah.
It's past 7. I do enjoy these conversations. It's nice speaking with you.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you, Alango.
Thank you very much.
Bye. So I'm sorry, guys, if I didn't get to speak to you tonight. That's the end of the session. Lisa's been talking for nearly 2 hours now, and it's nearly time for food. And I hear that Khaleesi was getting shouted at by my parents, so I might have to go and fix something that she's eaten. She has got a very high palate, expensive palate. She enjoys tapestries, curtains, rugs. She hasn't done that for years, actually. She's been very good lately. But I did hear them shouting. So I will be doing a talk again on Wednesday. I'm not sure. Oh yes, I'm sure of the time. It's 7 o'clock English time. So 7 p.m. for the Europeans. That is 1900. One time Paul said to me, because he's not used to AM and PM, he said to me, I'm coming to yours at 1 a.m. And I didn't question this. I just thought, wow, that's really late. And so I just thought he was coming at 1 a.m., but he meant the day before 1 p.m. It was very amusing. And he was sat at the airport waiting for me. Or the train station, I can't remember. Okay, bye guys.